Tom, you're one of the core people of the core team of Apex Fusion. For people that haven't met you yet, online or in person, what exactly is your function in Apex Fusion?
Yeah, sure. I'm one of four co-founders of the Apex Fusion project, two of whom came from Input Output and worked there for many years. And we're deeply embedded in the Cardano ecosystem. And four of us came together from different blockchain ecosystems to build Apex Fusion, bringing together the best battle-tested technology across formerly siloed ecosystems, primarily UTXO and EVM, into one tri-chain architecture.
Exactly, and this is also like you're mentioning the architectures. Maybe you can expand a little bit on that. Also, exactly, just as a quick reminder, like what does the triangle look like?
Yeah, thanks. So the whole purpose of Apex Fusion was to bring together UTXO, think Bitcoin, Cardano, and other similar technologies with the EVM stack, Ethereum, Polygon, and all the other layer twos in a way that they hadn't been connected before, because both sets of technology come with unique capabilities. When you blend them together, bring together something unique that hasn't been done in the industry up to now. And so the architecture that we've designed uses 3 chains. There is a layer 1 that's based on Ouroboros consensus protocol. All that it does is secure the network and mint the token. It decentralizes the network. We have about 300 stake pool operators running our Prime network right now. And then connected to the Prime chain, we have 2 layer 2s, one UTXO-based layer 2 and one EVM-based layer 2. And the reason why we chose this tri-chain architecture is because it allows us to separate the execution layer from the settlement layer so that each chain in that architecture is fit for purpose for a very specific role. And we just recently launched our UTXO-based layer 2 vector, and I think that's what we're here to talk about today.
Exactly. So let's dive straight in. So exactly what is it that people can do with vector, and also what distinguishes, since it's UTXO based on Cardano, what is the difference between vector and the original Cardano stack?
Okay, that's a great question. So as I mentioned, our vector chain is tuned specifically for dApps, which means that it's going to be very similar to Cardano, but with much faster throughput and much faster settlement. So you can deploy a dApp that's been deployed on Cardano on Vector very easily, and you can take advantage of very high speeds. And this has been tested at sub-second finality for applications on Vector, which makes it a very good chain for institutional grade DeFi. And this is a focus for us at Apex Fusion, is to become the rails for institutional money for DeFi and institutional grade DeFi. So this is the intention. And it's going to be the first focus of our business development activities for Vector, is bringing together DeFi applications and liquidity so that people can take advantage of very fast, good experience, good UX DeFi on a Cardano-like chain.
And from what I understand, Vector is now actually out there and operational. I also understand that there are obviously several projects building on Cardano that are already behind the scenes building and creating stuff with Apex Fusion. One of them, maybe perhaps the front runner, is Y Finance. So maybe can you introduce them and maybe tell us a little bit about what it is that those guys are doing with you and for you?
Yes, absolutely. So we have been talking to a number of Cardano projects for a while, and we have really strong relationships with a number of different builders in Cardano. And in fact, the Vector chain has been ready behind the scenes for some time now. It's worth noting that it's part of our ethos at Apex Fusion to build first and talk later. And we've taken this sort of approach to the work that we haven't seen anywhere else in Web3, where it's very common to talk a lot about what you're doing, promote a lot about what you're doing, sometimes for years before the technology is ready to try and attract attention and build hype for the project or even raise money. We've done it the opposite because we've seen a lot of promises in the industry not come to fruition. So instead, we're deploying our network before we go out and we push for it and make a lot of announcements, in our view, too early. But ViFi is one of the projects on Cardano that really understood the value of what we're doing. So ViFi is a DEX on Cardano, and they're bringing their product to our vector chain. And I believe they'll have a new product with new branding, things that haven't been announced yet that's specific to Apex Fusion. But the intention there is to deploy on Vector and also deploy on Nexus, the EVM chain, so that they have a cross-chain DEX that takes advantage of both UTXO and EVM in the same DEX. And the same user experience will be completely transparent to the user. We are already on ViFi on Cardano. The Apex token is already available there and in some other DeFi applications on Cardano. But ViFi as a close partner, that's where a lot of our focus is in deploying on Vector these days. And there'll be a lot more announcements coming as they continue to add capabilities and we bring liquidity into that environment.
So since this already is the case, I'm wondering, is it too early, or maybe it's now also the time for you to do a shout out to other Cardano builders and to invite them over?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely time to come over and start building on Vector if anybody's interested. We have some people on the team who are doing outreach right now, talking to the different projects. Of course, it's the holiday season right now, so you can really expect activity to pick up in the new year. But yeah, the time has come, and the market's down like they are. That's always time to focus and build for the future, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Exactly, and you don't have the big distractions of where the value is going. Just put your head down and get the job done, and then you pick the fruits when markets go up again. And that's exactly how it should be. So I appreciate the fact that your ethos is build first and talk later. Having said that, now that you're in the stage where everything is pretty much finished, there's also something called marketing, where you do have to, announce a little bit to the world about what try and get the attraction, etc. So in terms of marketing, like a couple of terms come to mind. I'll shoot a few of those at you, and then maybe we can come back and then look at specific ones. Integrations, community building. Let's have a look at that. So, for example, what can you expect? I know also there's stuff happening behind the scenes, and some very exciting in terms of integrations, right? So, I know stick to your ethos, but maybe you can still already say what's imminent or what's about to happen.
Yes, of course, that's great, and I'd love to take those two topics separately. Integrations and community building, because while they're related, they both are kind of distinct. And I think there's something really interesting about the concept of marketing in Web3. And depending upon how you look at it, we're talking about many things, right? We're talking about maybe traditional marketing, but we're also talking about community building. We're also talking about education. All of these things flow together. But for me, the focus of the project and for anything in Web3 really comes down to community and building community. I like to say that Web3 is the perfect storm of opportunity when done right, because it brings together open source software with talent and motivation to do unique things and change the world, and brings together funding as well. When all those things are flowing, it creates an environment where anybody around the world can bring something to a global community in a way that was never been able to be done before. So integrations are really important to this, and it's really the ethos of Apex Fusion is to be a true interoperability play. There's a few things that we like to say about it. One is that the way that we have architected Apex Fusion allows adapt to come on and then take advantage of access to 150 plus different EVM chains through our integration with Layer 0. And that has been available now for a while. We consider ourselves a super highway of Web3. So we connected UTXO and EVM within the same stack, but we've also connected the chains. We've got a bridge going to Cardano, called the Skyline Bridge, which allows Apex token, ADA, and CNTs to move back and forth between Apex and Cardano. And then we've got the layer 0 bridge, bridging from our Nexus chain, our EVM chain, to the entire EVM world of 150 plus different chains. And this is what I mean when I say no vendor lock-in. There are a couple of projects that are on Cardano, that have been on Cardano for a while, that grew to a point where they got big enough, they had enough of a community, they had enough funding that they could then take their token multi-chain. I'm thinking of World Mobile Chain and Cornucopias as examples of two Cardano dApps that have gone out and entered into the EVM world. But they had to do that on their own, and it can be a heavy lift, even getting the attention of some of the players in the EVM side with so much activity going on there. But with Apex Fusion, deploying on Apex allows you to bridge your assets to those environments out of the box. That's what I mean by no vendor lock-in. And if you say, for example, move your token over to Base, the way Base is structured today, your token is automatically available on Coinbase, for example. That used to be something that was very hard to accomplish and took a lot of time and money. And now, as the technology continues to mature, it's something that has become, essentially free for people who deploy on Apex Fusion. So that's where we're at with the interoperability play. We have plans to connect many more different chains in the future, moving around liquidity in different ways strategically to support different ecosystems, environments. And we will be offering different support packages for people that want support doing that. We have contact with a number of different business development teams and treasury organizations within the EVM network that we're working with directly. And sometimes it's just getting the attention of these players that can be the hardest part of getting the job done. And so we'll do our best to facilitate that for people that want to work with us.
As they say, your net value is your network, right? So very much the case.
Yeah, that's right.
Very exciting.
Your net worth is your network, or something like that. Yeah,
something like this. Yeah, exactly. So your network is your net wealth, or or whatever. In any case, yeah, very, very exciting, and definitely, like you say, I think the time is ripe for projects in Cardano to contact you guys, knowing that there's an opportunity for them to really expand their business very, very easily. Let's talk about the other aspect, which is community building. I'm straight away thinking about the reputation system. So maybe you can give folks a brief introduction on what it is that you guys are doing there, and maybe also how they can join.
Absolutely. So community is a big topic and an important topic. And I want to start out by speaking a little bit about our experience with the Cardano community in particular, because the Cardano community, to me, is quite unique in the Web3 space. There are a number of different chains, and so many, in fact, where they don't really have a tightly unified and active community in the way that Cardano does. And, for people who have been in the industry and kind of explored some of the different environments, there are blockchain ecosystems that are very, very thin on community, even though they may have a lot of liquidity, there might be a lot of trading going on, but there isn't really a solid grassroots community that exists that actually cares and is trying to foster the ecosystem. And Cardano is quite unique in that way. And you can see it when you get together with the Cardano community, when you go to events or things like that. People just keep showing up, they keep working. The Cardano community is battle tested just like the technology. These are people who are genuinely building for their local communities, building for the future. And it has some of the most amazing technical talent in all of Web3. And that's something that we have benefited from in Apex Fusion, is the partnerships that we've been able to connect with from the Cardano ecosystem are some of the best technical minds in the world when it comes to Web3. I'm thinking of people like Well-Typed, TXPipe, Ethernal, Route 3, many of these companies that we're working with who have been really close partners to us on both the EVM and the UTXO side are working together to bring this vision to reality. And so we've always thought of ourselves as Cardano natives. Maybe half of the team have come from the Cardano ecosystem. We're very familiar with a number of the different challenges that the community has been through, the needs of the Cardano ecosystem, things that have caused them to struggle that people commonly talk about. Very familiar with those things. And we're looking to actually do everything we can to help the Cardano community thrive. We definitely consider ourselves closely aligned with the Cardano ethos and bringing that to the world in a more meaningful way. I like to say that the Cardano ecosystem and Cardano technology is one of the best kept secrets in Web3, because the technology actually has not really been given its fair due in terms of how the broader industry views the ecosystem. They don't understand, broadly don't understand some of the strengths of the technology, like native liquid staking is an example of something that people who are familiar with Cardano really take for granted as something that is just normal and we should have, while the rest of the blockchain industry doesn't even understand what this term means, right? If they're going to stake, they have to deal with lockups and slashing and third parties and all of these things. And that's just one example. I mean, everybody is familiar with the security and the robustness of the UTXO tech stack. These are all things that need to be brought to the broader Web3 industry and world in ways that haven't been done before. So in speaking about community, now that we've got the architecture deployed, we're looking to spend a lot more time in the Cardano ecosystem with Cardano natives. We'll be participating in the Intersect program with the other great projects and leaders that are working there together on governance. We'll be putting out Cardano improvement proposals together with our partners to grow Cardano and do everything we can to really unify Cardano with the rest of Web3. And ultimately, one day, we'll be in a place where people won't even be talking about what chain things are on. It'll all just be interconnected with each blockchain playing its own special role in bringing this technology to the world in real world use case applications.